They mocked the waitress who silently served them until she turned around and said, "You don't remember me, do you?" "Did you hear? They're back in town." The words snapped through the prep room like a rubber band. Jackie froze, one hand on a tray of polished water glasses, the other clutching the edge of stainless steel as though the metal could keep her upright. For 20 long years she had practiced invisibility, head down, shoulders narrow, voice small. Now the past had kicked the door in without so much as a warning knock. Her co-worker Bree kept talking, blissfully unaware of the storm gathering behind Jackie's eyes. "High school reunion weekend," Bree chirped. "Apparently the Golden Crowd booked half the dining room for tonight. Big spenders, huge tips. We should be excited, right?" She laughed, a bright bubble that floated up and popped against the ceiling. Jackie forced a breath that felt like swallowing gravel. She thought she had buried those memories under work schedules, second shifts, and forgotten birthdays. Yet the name list scrolling on the reservation screen read like a litany of old bruises. Brandon Hayes, Vanessa Cooper, Tyler Lee. Each syllable thumped against her ribs, and with every thump she was 15 again, standing in a crowded hallway while someone taped a donut box to her locker and scrawled "free samples" across it in black marker. She had bled inside without making a sound. A timer dinged in the kitchen. Jackie blinked, realigned herself with the present. Granite City Steakhouse, a Thursday night, summer rain needling the windows. She was no longer that girl clutching textbooks to hide the rolls beneath her sweatshirt. She was a 40-year-old woman who paid her rent on time and remembered the favorite desserts of regular customers. Still, the thought of facing them, the beautiful people who never saw her as human, made her palms drip. Service started, tables filled with the usual murmur of cutlery and quiet conversations. Then, at 7:30, the doors swung wide, and in spilled laughter, designer perfume, and the clicking soles of expensive shoes. Jackie recognized them instantly, though the men had broader shoulders now and the women wore subtle lines around their eyes. Success clung to them like tailored jackets. They did not glance at the hostess podium. They assumed the room was theirs. Bree whispered, "They look fun." Jackie's smile was thin enough to slip under a door. She followed Bree to greet the group, her spine straight, yet trembling inside like a tuning fork. Vanessa spotted Jackie's name tag and grinned. "Jackie, perfect! A real American classic. We'll need 2 bottles of your best red, medium rare all around, and extra fries because we're celebrating every calorie tonight." Jackie wrote it down, voice steady. None of them recognized her. Not a flicker. They talked grades, colleges, tech startups, which ski lodge had the quietest slopes. When Brandon joked about that poor donut girl, Vanessa shrieked with laughter so sharp Jackie felt it slice along her old scars. They still called her a joke, only now she was standing right in front of them. She retreated to the service station, set down her pad, and breathed through a tremor rolling from gut to throat. She could quit on the spot, walk out into the rain, let someone else take the humiliation. But quitting had defined her youth, quitting the talent show after they replaced her sheet music with a karaoke version of Hungry Like the Wolf, quitting gym class after Brandon fake-tripped her into the bleachers. She was tired of quitting. Tonight the past would end on her terms. She delivered their steaks with professional grace, noting how Brandon still carved meat like a man auditioning for a power commercial. Between courses, they ordered cocktails Jackie could craft blindfolded. Vanessa flirted with the bartender. Tyler scrolled through photos of children who wore the same smug smile he once used to hide behind. They were happy, carefree, untouchable, until Vanessa cocked her head. "Excuse me, were we in school together? Your face is—" Jackie felt the doorway open inside her chest. She set down the last martini, straightened, and met their eyes one by one. Her voice came out calm, almost gentle. "You don't remember me, do you?" The table fell silent, as if someone had pressed mute on a remote. Rain beat a slow drum against the windows, while every guest in the dining room sensed a story assembling itself in the quiet. Brandon stared, bewildered, then laughed too loudly. "Wait, Jackie who? Were you in our class? The question hung there like a dare. Jackie's heart thudded. The words she had swallowed for 2 decades rose, burning her tongue with truth. She would not scream. She would not cry. She would speak, and the echo would belong to them all. She drew a breath that tasted of peppercorn and possibility. "Let me remind you," she began. The dining room held its breath, but the spell shattered a beat later when the hostess's phone began to chirp. Conversation swelled again, plates clinked, and the table of former royalty slipped back into comfortable chatter. Yet, every so often, eyes darted toward Jackie, curious, uneasy, as if the air around her vibrated a shade warmer. She moved through the next stretch of service in practiced rhythm, letting muscle memory ferry salads and refill wine without spilling a drop. Inside, though, her chest felt like a locked trunk rattling under the strain of a secret, desperate to burst open. Each laugh from Vanessa, high and glittery, scraped fresh across an old bruise. Tyler nudged Brandon, whispering jokes, and the 3 of them erupted into the same cruel cackle Jackie remembered from homecoming night, when they switched the signs on the girls' restroom and left her sobbing behind a janitor's cart. She tried to stay behind the swinging door to the kitchen, but the expeditor called her name. "Table 17 wants another round." His voice carried no judgment, only urgency. Jackie wiped her palms on her apron and stepped out again. As she approached, Brandon lifted his glass. "Jackie, darling, make mine a double this time. Big man, big thirst." He winked, then shifted his grin toward his entourage as though inviting applause. Jackie nodded, but her gaze snagged on the subtle slump of his shoulders beneath the tailored blazer. The confident king carried a hint of fatigue now, a sag of flesh at the neck, the first betrayal of passing years. Not so invincible after all. She collected glasses and turned away, and in that spin memory overtook her. Locker doors slamming, textbooks scattering, the sting of soda dripping down her hair while Brandon recorded the scene on a camcorder, chanting, "Dance, donut girl, dance." Shame had lodged so deep that for years she avoided any song with a fast beat. Now the restaurant's ceiling speakers hummed a soft jazz standard, gentle as a lullaby. Jackie caught her reflection in a window pane, silver thread in dark curls, laugh lines that never got to laugh much, eyes older yet still bright. She did not look like donuts or ridicule. She looked like a woman who had endured and earned the right to stand tall. At the service bar, she reached for rum, paused, then poured water instead. The ice clattered, echoing her racing thoughts. Bree sidled up, concern creasing her brow. "You good?" Jackie studied the condensation sliding down the pitcher. "I will be," she answered. That felt true, more true than anything she had said in years. When she returned, Tyler was reenacting a football play with breadsticks as miniature teammates. The others whooped. Brandon leaned back in his chair, scanning the room like a bored emperor. As Jackie set fresh drinks down, Vanessa glanced up. Her mascara-coated lashes fluttered. "Have we met before?" she asked, tilting her head. "You seem familiar." Jackie's pulse throbbed. She forced a gentle smile. "Small world," she replied. Vanessa shrugged and turned back to gossip about vacation homes. But Jackie felt something shift. They were looking at her now, not through her. They saw a face, a voice, a presence. The fragile mask of anonymity had lifted, and beneath it lay a choice: retreat into silence or walk straight through the fire of memory and claim her own narrative. She gathered empty plates, and as she leaned forward to clear Brandon's, his hand brushed hers. Reflex tugged her back, but he caught her eye. For a heartbeat, his expression wobbled, then steadied into a half-smile that tried to mask surprise. "You really do remind me of someone," he murmured. Jackie inhaled the scent of seared steak and cedar cologne. "Perhaps someone you once knew," she said, words soft but edged with flint. He blinked, unsettled. "From college?" Jackie shook her head. "Earlier. Grade school." He laughed, though uncertainty crept in. "Earlier still. she whispered. Then she straightened and carried the plates away, leaving him frowning after her. Back in the prep room, she braced both palms on the counter. The trunk inside her chest rattled louder, iron hinges straining. She pictured the hallway where she spent many lunches in hiding, the auditorium seat where she once found a cruel drawing of a whale with her name scribbled underneath. She remembered the night of senior prom, sitting alone on a park bench while limousines roared past, their laughter floating like confetti into the starless sky. A dull ache settled, but with it, a rising clarity. Those memories were chapters, not sentences. They did not have to dictate the ending. She returned with dessert menus, and Vanessa groaned in delighted indecision over chocolate lava versus cheesecake. Jackie recommended the chef's new raspberry torte. Vanessa nodded, trusting. When orders were placed, Jackie brushed crumbs from the linen and let her gaze sweep the table. She spoke just above the hush of surrounding conversations. "I have a story," she said. "A short one, I promise." Her smile carried neither malice nor mockery, only something deeper, steadier. "May I share it while you wait for dessert?" Brandon's eyes narrowed, suspicion flirting with curiosity. Tyler shrugged, mouth full of fries. Vanessa leaned forward, intrigued by any narrative spotlight. Jackie folded her hands, fingers calm. "Once," she began, "there was a girl who believed silence could make her invisible. It worked, until it didn't." She paused, letting the sentence hover like mist among them. Brandon opened his mouth, but words failed. Vanessa frowned, sensing an undercurrent she could not name. Jackie exhaled, feeling the lock snap, the trunk crack wide. The hush around the table thickened. All at once the past seemed ready to listen. The restaurant's soundscape slipped into a low hush, the kind that settles before summer thunder. Jackie felt the weight of 30 curious eyes, yet a steadier rhythm pulsed beneath her ribs. For the first time since childhood, her heart was not a frightened creature. It was a drummer, calling her forward. She kept her tone soft. The girl thought silence was armor. She learned it was only glass. Her words drifted, brushing each listener. A couple at the next table paused mid-conversation, drawn in. A busboy slowed, balancing a stack of plates as though afraid to break the moment. Brandon cleared his throat. "Cute parable," he said, trying for bravado, but his voice cracked like cheap veneer. Jackie watched recognition bloom behind his eyes, petal by reluctant petal. He remembered. Memory tugged her back to a frosted morning in 10th grade. Locker doors slammed, laughter ricocheted off linoleum. She had opened her backpack and found it stuffed with donuts, each one stabbed through the center by a plastic fork. Someone had taped a sign across the flap, "Feed the whale." Brandon's grin had filled the hallway, brilliant and merciless. That grin stared at her now, only the edges drooped under the weight of years. Vanessa's curiosity sharpened. "Jackie, what is this about?" Jackie met her gaze. "It's about remembering things you hoped were buried." She placed their dessert forks with deliberate care, the stainless steel gleaming like little mirrors. "For instance, do you recall senior prom night? The prank behind the gym?" Vanessa's lips parted, color draining. Tyler shifted in his seat. The group's laughter had died, leaving only the soft hum of air conditioning and distant clatter from the kitchen. Jackie drew a breath that tasted of raspberries and courage. "I waited by the bleachers until dawn because someone left a note, 'Meet me under the scoreboard.' I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd been seen. Instead, I found a bucket of slop and a sign that said, 'Pigs eat here.'" The words floated across linen and crystal, landing like ash. Brandon's face blanched. Tyler muttered an oath. Vanessa stared at her own reflection in a spoon, as though searching for the girl she once was. Brandon tried a weak chuckle. "We were kids, Jackie, stupid kids." "Kids grow up," she replied, "yet some choices follow them like shadows at noon." Her voice did not tremble. It rang low and level, stronger for its restraint. Silence stretched until Bree approached, eyes wide. "Desserts are ready," she whispered. Jackie gave a small nod. Bree lingered. "You sure?" Jackie's smile was calm. "Absolutely." She carried the plates out herself, gleaming white porcelain, scarlet streaks of coulis, perfect domes of chocolate. Each dish trembled slightly in her hands, not from fear, but from the humming certainty that something long overdue was unfolding. When she set the final plate before Brandon, he caught her wrist. The contact jolted both of them. He released her, swallowing. "I did write that note," he admitted, voice hoarse. "I wanted you to meet me. Tyler switched the bucket as a joke. I laughed because everyone else did. I'm sorry." Jackie absorbed his confession without blinking. Apology was a fragile seed. Whether it sprouted was not hers to decide tonight. "Do you know why I waited?" she asked. Brandon shook his head. "Because I believed people could be better than their worst moment," she said. "I'm still deciding if that's true." Across the table, Vanessa whispered, "We never meant real harm." Jackie raised a brow. "Real harm is not measured by intent. It's measured by bruises that never fade." Her gaze softened. She was not here to destroy, only to reveal. "But bruises can teach. That's why I'm speaking now." The room around them seemed to tilt, every light focusing inward. Tyler rubbed his face. "What do you want?" he said, almost pleading. "Money? Charity donation? We can fix this." Jackie tilted her head. "You assume everything broken can be bought." She let the truth settle, then added, "I want one thing. For you to remember the girl you laughed at every time you feel the urge to laugh at someone weaker." Vanessa's eyes glistened. Brandon's shoulders sagged. Tyler looked away, jaw tight. Jackie stepped back, hands unclasping as if releasing invisible chains. "Enjoy dessert," she murmured. "It's sweeter when shared with conscience." She turned toward the kitchen, leaving the table in stunned silence. Halfway to the door, she paused, sensing footsteps. Brandon caught up, breathless. Jacqueline, listen. I kept that camcorder tape. Every time I played it, I hated myself a little more. You deserve more than an apology. Let me—" She stopped him with a gentle palm against his chest. "Redemption is yours to earn, not mine to grant," she said. "Start by teaching your own children kindness, then maybe tell them about the donut girl who learned to speak." Brandon's eyes shone. "I will." Jackie walked on, her stride lighter. The trunk in her chest no longer rattled. Its hinges lay open, revealing nothing but spacious calm. Behind her, the once golden crowd sat in heavy quiet, forks untouched, chocolate cooling. For the first time, they tasted a morsel of the silence they had sentenced her to all those years ago and discovered it was bitter. A soft drizzle hissed against the front windows while the dining room wrestled with a brand new flavor of quiet. Jackie finished folding napkins at the service station, aware of the ripples she had sent through the water. She half expected management to scold her for lecturing VIP guests, yet no one moved to stop her. Instead, the maitre d' hovered by the host stand, casting discreet glances toward table 17 as though fearing a second storm. Jackie drew a breath that felt like stretching after a long car ride. She wiped her palms on her apron and turned back. Something unfinished tugged her forward, the way a half-solved melody insists on its final notes. At the table, dessert forks lay idle. Chocolate had cooled into dull domes. Vanessa dabbed her eyes with a linen napkin. Tyler scrolled his phone, but his thumb stayed frozen above the screen. Brandon sat rigid, arms crossed, gaze fixed on Jackie's empty water pitcher, as if it contained all the answers he had refused to face. When Jackie approached, Brandon pushed back his chair. Tall once, imposing once, but now his eyes held the fragile shine of a boy who realizes the grown-up costume does not fit. "Could we talk?" he asked. His voice sounded like gravel washed in rain. Jackie nodded, motioning toward a side corridor where framed photos of former chefs lined the wall. The hallway smelled of fresh paint and lemon polish, new beginnings layered over old grain. Brandon followed, his expensive shoes whispering over hardwood. He started to speak, stopped, then blurted, "I was in love with you." Jackie blinked. The confession landed like an orange dropped into water, unexpected, bobbing on the surface, sending rings of disbelief outward. "You had a strange way of showing it," she said, calm but sharp. "I know." He stared at a photograph of the restaurant's founder. I was terrified. Our crowd, they smelled weakness. So I laughed first, pushed hardest. It was easier to be cruel than honest. Jackie folded her arms. That excuse cost me 20 years of hiding. She heard the steel in her own words, but there was sorrow too, worn soft by time. Brandon swallowed. "I married, had kids. Every time my son teased a classmate, I heard my own voice echo back. I would stop him, but inside I was still that coward. Tonight, seeing you, really seeing you," his throat tightened. "I don't expect forgiveness, I just need you to know I'm not the same." Jackie studied him. Age had softened the sharp lines of his face, but the boy who once wielded laughter like a whip was still there, eyes wide behind the mask. She thought of her own reflection hours earlier, the woman who chose not to quit, two ghosts meeting in a hallway, deciding whether to shake hands or pass by. "I forgive the boy," she said slowly, "but the man must prove he's different." She offered a small, steady smile. "Begin by teaching your children kindness, not dominance." Brandon's shoulders sagged in relief and shame. "I will." He reached into his jacket and produced a small cassette tape, old, scuffed, the label smudged. "The hallway donut video. I've carried it like a thorn. Would you—" He hesitated. "Destroy it." Jackie accepted the tape, its plastic edges digging into her palm like tiny teeth. "I'll decide what lesson it serves." They returned to the dining room. Vanessa rose, voice faltering. "Jackie, Words failed. Instead, she opened her purse and removed a sleek, compact mirror. She snapped it closed and laid it gently on the table, as if symbolically setting vanity aside. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Jackie nodded. Apologies floated around her like tired birds looking for a place to land. Some would nest, others would drift away. That was not her burden. The rest of service passed oddly serene. The reunion group paid their check in subdued silence, leaving a gratuity thick enough to shame gold. As they left, Tyler paused to stack their dessert plates so bus staff would have less work. A small act, but Jackie noticed. When the door clicked shut behind them, Bree hurried over, eyes wide. "Girl, that was like live theatre. Are you okay?" Jackie exhaled, feeling the room expand inside her lungs. "For the first time, I think so." She untied her apron, the knot loosening like an old chain. The maitre d' approached, bracing for conflict, but Jackie handed him the fat tip envelope. "Split it with the dishwasher crew," she said. Then she clocked out, stepped into the damp night, and let drizzle bead on her hair. Streetlights cast puddles of amber along the sidewalk. Jackie reached the corner trash bin, held up the cassette. She could smash it, erase proof of cruelty. Instead, she slid it into her coat pocket. Some scars should be remembered, not worshipped, so the next child who flinches in a hallway might find an ally instead of an echo. Her phone buzzed. A message from Bree, "Just so you know, you are a legend." Jackie smiled, tucking the phone away. Legend was a heavy word, but survivor fitted like a well-worn coat. As she walked toward the bus stop, thunder grumbled overhead, then softened into nothing. Behind her, the restaurant lights dimmed for closing. Ahead, a single street lamp flickered, but held. Jackie kept walking, steady and unafraid, carrying neither donuts nor shame, only a tape, a lesson, and a future that finally felt wide open. Morning arrived draped in soft grey, as though the world itself were exhaling after a night of confessions. Jackie woke before dawn, the cassette tape resting on her nightstand like a question mark that had learned to breathe. Rain tapped the roof, steady and contemplative, the kind that invites doors to open rather than slam. She brewed coffee, strong and dark, and carried her mug to the small balcony of her apartment. Across the parking lot stood an elementary school she passed every shift change, its playground slick with drizzle. Children would spill onto that asphalt in a few hours, some already rehearsing jokes sharp enough to hide their own bruises. Jackie sipped and wondered who might stand between cruelty and silence for them. Her phone chimed, a new message from an unknown number. "Jacqueline, this is Vanessa." I could not sleep. "Tyler and I talked until sunrise. We want to make amends, but we do not know how. Please guide us if you can." Jackie stared at the screen. Apology was easy at 2 in the morning, harder in daylight. Yet some doors deserved a crack left open. She typed back one line. "Start where you are. Do something kind no one can repay." She set the phone aside and reached for the tape. The plastic felt colder now, heavier with possibility. She pictured herself snapping it, shards flying, but another image appeared. A classroom, a projector, children leaning forward as a grainy hallway flickered into view. Sometimes ghosts must speak, so the living will listen. By mid-morning, the rain lightened to a mist. Jackie pulled on her oldest sneakers, slipped the cassette into her pocket, and walked the 7 blocks to her former high school. The building loomed, red brick softened by ivy and years, yet the front doors glinted new, as if time kept replacing what teenagers wore out. Inside, fluorescent lights hummed above polished floors. A security guard raised an eyebrow when Jackie asked for the principal, but waved her through after a polite smile and the magic word alumni. The main office smelled of paper and lemon cleaner, exactly as she remembered. Principal Ramirez was younger than Jackie, a woman whose bright scarf offset determined eyes. She invited Jackie to sit. Jackie placed the tape on the desk and told the story in measured tones. Donuts, forks, prom night, 2 decades of silence, and the conversation that finally cracked it open. Ramirez listened without interruption, fingers steepled, leaning closer at each reveal. "I teach social studies," Ramirez said when Jackie finished, voice low. "But this is human studies." She tapped the tape. "May I show it?" Jackie hesitated, then nodded once. "On one condition. Frame it with compassion, not spectacle," Ramirez promised. They shook hands, and Jackie left the office lighter, as though the hallways themselves exhaled with her. Passing the lockers, she heard footsteps and looked up to see a boy maybe 13, clutching textbooks against his chest the way she once had. His shirt bore a wet splotch shaped suspiciously like a thrown carton of milk. Tears stained his cheeks, though he wiped them fast at her glance. Jackie crouched. "Tough morning," he sniffed. "They call me Turtle, slow, fat." The words stuck on his tongue like poison. Jackie offered a gentle smile. "Turtles survive by carrying home with them. That is strength, not weakness." The boy stared, uncertain. Jackie reached into her pocket, found a crumpled loyalty card from the steakhouse, and scribbled on the back, "You are seen. You are more than their laughter." She pressed it into his hand. "Keep this. On hard days, read it out loud." His grip tightened around the card as though it were a lifeline. "Thank you," he whispered, voice cracking. Jackie watched him walk away, shoulders a shade straighter. Then she pushed through the front doors and stepped into sunlight that had finally broken through the cloud cover. Mid-afternoon found her at the city library, tucked between stacks of memoirs, when her phone buzzed again, this time Brandon. "I registered to speak at my daughter's school tomorrow about kindness. I will show them who I was and who I want to be. Thank you for the chance." Jackie read the message twice. No fireworks of redemption, just one man choosing a different path. It was enough for today. Outside, the sky spread blue as fresh paint. Jackie walked the river trail, shoes squishing in damp grass, and let the breeze lift her hair. She thought of the girl who once watched prom limousines depart in shimmering lines, who believed love came packaged in a narrower dress size and a quieter laugh. That girl had not vanished. She had unfolded into the woman now striding beside the water, unafraid to take up space. At the river's bend stood a footbridge, its railings hung with padlocks left by couples. Jackie stopped, slid the tape from her pocket, and weighed it in her palm one last time. Then she tucked it back inside her coat. Not yet. The world still needed its lesson, and she was not finished teaching. She walked on, the bridge behind her, the river ahead, and somewhere in between, a future uncracked by laughter or shame, wide enough to carry every silent voice that finally chose to speak. Sunset painted the river in rose and copper when Jackie's phone buzzed one more time. A new message appeared, not from Brandon or Vanessa, but from Bree. Manager asked if you can swing by tonight. Something about the classroom video. Jackie frowned. News travelled faster than drizzle on pavement. She slipped the cassette back into her coat and doubled her pace toward Granite City Steakhouse. Evening traffic hummed, headlights already blinking to life like cautious fireflies. By the time she reached the staff entrance, dusk had settled into a velvet hush. Inside, the dining room sat empty. Chairs were flipped onto tables for cleaning. Yet, in the far corner, a portable projector cast a grainy hallway scene onto the wall. Her hallway, the donut prank immortalized in shaky 1990s pixels. Manager Curtis, Bree, and 3 of the younger servers watched, wide-eyed. Curtis turned. "Jacqueline, this is powerful." He clicked pause. On screen, teenage Jackie stood alone amid a spray of powdered sugar, face flushed with humiliation. Curtis swallowed. "I want to use this for staff training, show what cruelty looks like in daylight, but only if you say yes." Jackie gazed at her younger self, frozen in time. Shame still flickered across that face, but beside it, Jackie felt a sturdy calm. "Yes," she said, "on one condition, follow it with what redemption can look like." Bree grinned. "Already planning a kindness drive, meal vouchers for the shelter, plus a mentoring program with the middle school next door." Curtis nodded, relieved. Then he handed Jackie an envelope. Table 17's tip had grown, courtesy of a late-night transfer from Brandon. Jackie opened it. Not cash, but a printed receipt showing a sizable donation to an anti-bullying non-profit in Jackie's name. Across the bottom, Brandon had typed a single line. "Lesson accepted. Thank you for teaching me." Jackie folded the receipt, slipped it into her apron pocket, and felt a warmth bloom that coffee never could. Curtis resumed cleaning, leaving Jackie and Bree to stack silverware. Bree elbowed her gently. "Legend," she whispered again. Jackie rolled her eyes but couldn't hide a smile. When chores finished, Jackie stepped outside. Night air carried a promise of coming summer. She crossed the lot toward the bus stop but noticed headlights lingering. Tyler's sedan, engine purring. He emerged, hands tucked into coat pockets. "I figured you'd be here," he said, voice subdued. Jackie waited. He took a breath. "I spent the afternoon at a soup kitchen. Wasn't sure what else to do with the weight in my chest." He offered a plain notebook. Inside, letters. One to you, one to every kid I ever mocked. They may never see them, but writing felt like sanding down rough edges. Jackie accepted the notebook. "Edges can still cut," she said, "but smoothed, they can build." She tucked it beside the donation receipt. Tyler exhaled, shoulders easing. "I also called my son's teacher, asked if I can volunteer." A small laugh escaped him. He was stunned. "Good," Jackie said softly. Tyler returned to his car, headlights sweeping away. Jackie boarded the late bus, seat cushions cracked with age, engine growling like a tired bear. She leaned her head against the window, city lights streaking into river silver lines. At her stop, she spotted the turtle boy from the high school sitting on a bench, hoodie pulled up. He glanced up, recognized her, and lifted a small turtle figurine carved from wood. "Found this at a thrift store," he said, shy pride shining. "Thought you'd like it." Jackie sat beside him. "Why me?" "Because you saw me," he answered. "Now I see others too." He held up a second figurine, smaller. "For a kid I know who eats alone." Jackie's throat tightened. She accepted the larger turtle, its shell smooth beneath her thumb. "Keep going," she said. Each time you pass kindness on, the shell grows stronger. They shared quiet until the next bus hissed to a stop. The boy climbed aboard, waving through the glass. Jackie waved back, heart buoyant. She walked the final block home under street lamps buzzing like sleepy bees. At her door, she paused, withdrew the cassette. Years ago, it had been a weapon. Today, it was a tool. Tomorrow, perhaps a relic. She placed it on her kitchen shelf beside the wooden turtle and the notebook of letters. An altar of remembered pain turned purpose. Moonlight spilled through the window, silvering the room. Jackie brewed chamomile tea and sat at her desk, blank page before her. She began writing. Not a ledger of wrongs, but a map of turning points, moments when silence cracked and voices rose. She titled the page, Echoes That Chose to Sing. As words flowed, she felt the last vestige of glass armor melt away, replaced by something lighter than forgiveness and stronger than stone. The simple knowledge that her voice, once a faint tremor, now traveled far beyond a single hallway or a single night. Outside, rain began again, gentle as applause. Jackie set down her pen, closed the notebook, and whispered into the quiet, Here's to every donut girl, every turtle boy. May your stories find open ears. And somewhere in the hush between raindrops, the past finally exhaled, making room for the endless echo of new beginnings.